for joining me for part 2 of our playthrough of Ultimate General Civil War. We just finished the first battle, the Battle of Acquired Creek, or I think they call it Port Potomac, or Fort Potomac, in this game. And we're about to launch into our second battle. Now we could, as you can see, after you finish the first battle, you get this map, you get to go to the army camp, or you go to the battles map. And we could just go ahead and start the Battle of First Bull Run, but we are not going to do that. We are actually going to play the Battle of Newport News, which technically is actually the Battle of Big Bethel. They just call it the Battle of Newport News in this game. But first of all, we have to start building our army. Now, like I said at the end of the last episode, we had 2 units that sort of carried over from the last battle into this one. And these are going to be the units we actually start with. And start building our army with. Now you unlock career points as you go on, which you then add to the different things. I could put army organization, which would allow me to start building up my army to be larger. As you can see at the moment, all I can do is build 3 units. Everything else is locked. I could actually add a new division, which would also add 3 more units that I could do. But as we can see, if we go to the Battle of First Bull Run, we can hit start, which won't actually start the battle. It'll actually just bring up this screen here. All we can do is bring in 4 brigades anyway. So there's really no reason for me to start building out my army just yet. I could add another unit, which I probably will before the next battle, before the Battle Bull Run. But for right now, yeah, all I can do is bring my current 3 brigades. So there's for no real reason spending money as of right now to start expanding my army. But we can actually replace it. As you can see, we only have 444 soldiers in this unit, 410, and we have 4 guns in this unit. So we're actually going to expand on that. And we're going to add more rookies. Now, first of all, this 1 career point I got for the last battle, I'm just going to add that to politics for now. I can actually start adding it to these other things, but as I said in the last episode, we really are just going to focus on politics for the first few battles to try and, especially once for the grand battle, as you can see, actually let's go ahead and take a look at this. So right now my politics is 3. As you can see, this is the points and reputation and money and everything that you get for completing the battles, depending on if you have a victory, draw, or defeat. Again, you don't necessarily lose the war and thus lose the game if you actually have a defeat. You lose reputation points, which when this hits 0, that is actually when you actually will lose the game and you actually have to restart. So we go into this, we add a point to politics. Actually, sorry, I wanted to point out something. As you can see, we get this amount of money, manpower, and reputation if we win the Battle of Manassas. Let's go to politics, apply that, and if we go back to the battles map, as you can see, it did all raise slightly, or did it? Actually, oh, there you go. I just had to re-click on it. So yes, it did just raise slightly, so I get a little bit more money, a little bit more manpower. No more reputation. I don't know if you actually gain any more reputation, or is it just money and manpower? It might just be money and manpower that you get. So let's go back to the army camp. Now that we've done that, we are going to start building out our units. Now we can actually spend those reputation points for guns or generals, which I do like getting generals. So we are going to go ahead and buy a general. For right now, we will just keep our reputation. More than likely, I will buy some weaponry here soon, but we might do that after this next battle. The reason I like buying generals is because I can then put them in charge of divisions,
Yes, sir.
which would just give me a little bit more to go off of. And I will put Tom Preston in charge of the next division, which will allow me to eventually add a few more men. Now, first of all, we're just going to fill out these 2 units. As you can see, we have 1,400 weapons in the armory. We can build a unit up to 1,500 men. See how that went away, though? See, they had discipline training. If you just use raw recruits, you can see all these stats start going down because you're adding untrained units to the force. If you were actually to apply veterans, as you can see, it becomes unaffected. See the difference? Now, because we're so early in the game, it's really not going to affect it too much. But I also don't want to lose this little buff here, which is the discipline training. It gives plus 10 to their morale and plus 5 to the efficiency. So what I'll do is I'll just bring it down just slightly just to keep that buff. Apply that, and then I'm going to go to veterans and bring it up the rest of the way. As you can see, it cost us no money to add just raw recruits because we have the manpower and we had the guns in the armory, so it didn't cost us anything. But as soon as we actually went to buy the veteran units, it did actually cost us some money. So we'll do the same thing with this. As you can see, it has a different buff. It has the endurance course, which is more of the stamina, efficiency, and speed. So this would be a better charging unit, essentially. And we're going to do the same thing. This time I can fill it out completely with raw recruits, which, again, they actually have the Confederacy actually has a better raw recruit. So you can see up there, there's stats. If you actually look at the Union, there would actually be slightly worse starting statistics for your raw recruits when you compare it to the Union, or the Confederacy, rather. And as you can see, we don't have enough guns in the armory, so we're technically going to have to buy the Springfield 1842s to be able to fill out this unit. And finally, we go on to our gun. Now, the gun, so the last two, the game automatically applied those two buffs, but we actually get to choose our own buff this time. Now, each type of unit in the game, cavalry, skirmisher, and infantry and artillery, each have different buffs based on their star level. The artillery's 1-star level, you could either choose from logistics, more ammo and efficiency, physical training, more stamina and efficiency, more discipline, more morale and efficiency. So each one gives you efficiency. Honestly, when it comes to artillery, I've never really come into an issue where I needed physical training or discipline. Typically, you're going to be behind the lines with your artillery anyway. If you're making frontline combat with troops, morale's not going to be affected too much because they are going to run very quickly because they're going to get just absolutely destroyed if they're going one-on-one with, say, an infantry unit. So I always tend to go with logistics again, and physical training would help if you actually have to cross a large part of the battlefield with your artillery, but again, I find that it's probably the one you would choose the least likely to choose, that is. So we are going to go with logistics. I'm also going to look at the guns. I'm actually going to go ahead, because I have a pretty good money, and actually I'm going to upgrade these guns to the Napoleons. I just think the Napoleon's a better gun. I don't like the 6-pound artillery pieces. I'm also going to go ahead, keep its veterancy. I'm actually going to raise it to a 6-gun unit. That being said, actually no, 6 guns should be enough, we'll see.
Sir, yes, sir!
Okay, so yeah, it did take a little bit of, because of who we have in charge, 6 guns is a little bit much for a captain. As you can see, its efficiency and its morale took a little bit of a hit because it just has a captain in charge. I'm sure Sam Cabell will be ranking up here soon, so I'm not going to worry too much about that. Let's go ahead. I'm gonna go down just to even out the supplies, and then we're gonna actually add some supplies. So we're gonna go up to, we'll say 10,000 supplies. Should be enough for the first few battles. And you know, that's it. Like I said, I can only bring 6 units into the next battle. I could go ahead and look at possibly getting a colonel or lieutenant colonel to lead these units. But I'm fairly confident, especially if you look at Siegfried. He's almost promoted as it is. And Kemper is along his way too. So I'm not going to worry too much. It's a lot cheaper to promote these people than it is to buy new ones. As you can see, 3,000 for colonels would be a huge chunk if I wanted to give them both colonels in charge. So I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to let them rank up. But what I am going to do, I'm going to take a look at my armory. And so we go scrolling down. These are all the weapons you could choose from. Now I could look at upgrading my weaponry types for the units I have, but I'm actually going to start building for the future. As you can see, I can only buy 48 and 57 of the Henry and Fayettevilles, respectively. if you were not to buy these weapons, the replenishment rate is a lot lower. So if we go to like the next, so sorry, this is gonna be a little bit of hard to explain. Every time you go into a campaign, so like we're right now in the First Manassas campaign, you will have a set number of weapons you can buy. So this will never change. The weapon totals, the available weapon totals, they will never change throughout this entire campaign. So that's always going to be the set weapons. And then it replenishes at the end of the next one. If you don't buy all the weapons of that particular set, those weapons will not replenish from this campaign to the next. Or they will, but the amount that it replenishes is not going to be enough. It's not going to be as much as you would if you would actually zero out this. So if you were to buy everything and then go to the next campaign, you actually get more available weapons than what you would have if you didn't buy them all. Hopefully that makes sense. So that's what we're going to do, because these are some of the best weapons in the game, and I want to try and start buying them as quickly as possible. That way I can have access to entire units with like Henrys or Fayetteville's. Now if you're on the Union side, you would have access to like the Colt 1855 and then Spencer as well. And we're going to just basically do that for every single infantry unit type. Yeah, because as you can see, we can also have access to the Whitworths. I do like having sharpshooter units, so I am going to buy these. The sniper rifle version, I probably will eventually start buying these if I have the funds to do so. These are very expensive weapons. As you can see, the Lamats are fairly expensive, 91 per. I'm going to go ahead and sell the 6-pound artillery pieces. That way we can have a little bit more money. I'm going to go ahead and buy some howitzers. And that's probably all I'm going to do between the turns this time around. So we're going to go to our battle map, Newport News, and we're going to go ahead and start our battle. The Union is aggressively attempting to secure areas in Virginia. Their armies are occupying several towns before the local militia could take up arms against them. The rebellion needs your assistance to defend a small town near Newport News. That small town would be Big Bethel, and technically Little Bethel is where Magruder actually set up his forces as a blocking force along the Virginia Peninsula. The rebellion, we got that. Federals are approaching from multiple directions with superior forces. You must lead a portion of your troops and the local militia to repel the intruders. So yeah, that's fairly accurate to what actually happened. Magruder set up forces just outside Newport News near Fort Monroe to sort of act as a blocking force so that Union forces could not advance up the peninsula. And basically he set up very close in two towns, Big Bethel and Small Bethel, in an attempt to lure the Union forces away from their fort, because he didn't have the forces that he needed to actually be able to take the force and force them off the peninsula. So he wanted them to come to him, which is exactly what happened. To devastating losses to the Union, at least devastating in terms of the context at the time. Now, in terms of how things would look later in the war, it was almost like nothing. Both forces lost under 100 men. In fact, the Confederacy only lost, I think, 10 men. I know only one person died on the Confederacy's side during the Battle of Big Bethel. So this was seen as an overwhelming one-sided loss at the time, but just because the Union lost close to 100 troops, both wounded and killed during the battle, whereas the Confederacy lost, a tenth of that, essentially. Sir, it was very brave of you to refuse Lincoln's call to arms and join the Confederacy's cause. The Union is trying desperately to convince the locals not to succeed, and is attempting an investment of Virginia with military forces. Numerous Union infantry is approaching our town from 3 directions: northwest, north, and northeast. It is vital to protect the town and show the Yankees that we are not going to leave our lands undefended. The incoming Union forces are too strong, we cannot stop them, only delay them, so it is advised to deploy skirmishers in advance north of the town to buy time for our reinforcements. Our cavalry scouts have returned from their reconnaissance mission and will assist your efforts. Virginia local militia has been caught up. We will receive infantry and artillery to counterattack. Until then, hold your ground, General. So, we do get actually Stuart's cavalry up here. That is Jeb Stuart's cavalry. I don't really know if they actually took part in the battle, but I digress. We are going to actually, it does say set up skirmishers. We are going to do that, but it's just going to be skirmishers. So what I'm going to do, actually, we'll leave these two units fairly far forward, move everybody else back. And again, we're going to pause right away. We're going to deploy said skirmishers, set up positions. These guys will set up all the way up here. Campers will actually take this little light fortification there in that farmhouse. Our artillery, we're going to go ahead and retreat, as well as our two main units. We're going to get them back into the town. Stuart, we'll set Stuart up over here, and where was Siegfried? We're actually going to have him deployed farther back. And I think that's what we're going to do for now. So let's go ahead and move him back as well. Now, we're not going to spend a lot of time with our skirmishers in the delaying action. Oh, shoot. It's been some time since I played this battle, so obviously I'm not 100% sure. Hey, did they have a Birney this time? Last time we had Birney. They do reuse a lot of the names, honestly. Oh, I thought I moved him. Let's get him moving back. He's going where? That gun is actually calling my name. I kind of want to see if I can't get to him. His infantry is actually going after my cavalry. As you can see, he stopped because they became unseen. That's what that symbol means. It means that the enemy can't actually see you. I did see a lot of skirmishers heading this way, which kind of worries me. I've never seen the AI actually do that. Alright, so we're just going to fast forward this until we start seeing these guys start pushing forward. Something tells me I'm not going to get a chance. They know my cavalry's over here, so they are just going after my cavalry. So, that being said, I'm going to get these guys out of here, and we are just going to retreat these guys back. As we saw that all those skirmisher units heading away from us. Now, I don't want to lose track of that unit, so I'm going to keep my cavalry out. I could swing my cavalry up and around, actually. See if I can't take out that gun. He sent his infantry this way, which I'm sure they're probably in these woods here somewhere. Now, these guys have revolving carbines, so they're actually a skirmisher cavalry. They're not actually a melee cavalry. Better for like scouting and whatnot. Whereas the melee cavalry is going to be much better for like charging down units as well as destroying gun positions. Ah, crap. Alright, well, he tried to get up there in time before his other units started appearing, but that's just not going to happen. I'm going to head this way with my cavalry, see if I can't figure out where those skirmisher units went, because I really don't want them appearing behind and through this area. I'm going to see if I can't locate those other units. That's the nice part about having cavalry, is you can actually do that. So I would never recommend not going into a battle without cavalry, some sort of cavalry. Because if you ever lose position of enemy units, because of the fog of war, it's really great to have cavalry just to be able to send out. And this type of cavalry with the carbines works great for that. They're also good for like holding positions, forward positions, because they really act as like Oh, now we're getting chased. They sort of act as vedettes as well, which is basically the cavalry version of skirmishers. Let's see if I can't lure them in. That's melee cavalry. See how they don't have the gun? That's part of their logo. Let's see if I can't lure them in. No, they stopped. Okay. We got one good shot in. Alright, we're gonna fast forward this. They're not really pressing their advantage as of yet, because they definitely have the numbers over me. Not really sure how my guys didn't get off any shots. I guess they just weren't facing the right way. That didn't make a whole lot of sense. Let's give them some cover of longer grass. My reinforcements should be arriving here shortly. You did your best, General, to hold the Yankees. Our reinforcements arrived to teach them a lesson. Cavalry and supplies are on their way. Alright. So let's see. Evans, I'll move up this way. Everybody else, get them into the field down this way. And we're going to run them. The reason I'm moving Evans through the woods there, just to try and route out that cavalry unit that's in there. That way they don't come after my guns. We're going to locate right there. Put these guys right here because that's slightly elevated terrain right there. Kemper was forced back a little. Oh wow, Barca is actually retreating as well. Looks like my general. Oh no, the other generals are down here. Alright, so we're forcing that first initial wave. We did lose, or they did cause one of our units to sort of retreat there. Evans is slowly moving forward. He had to go through the woods there. Actually going to stop him from running. Here, Bartel is just finally starting to rally. Oh, we have another unit coming in on our flank. Not sure why B isn't firing there. He has the morale. There we go. That's what we wanted. I'm gonna sort of leave Evans up there for now until I get my other cavalry unit. Then I'll use my 2 cavalry units to sort of swing up this way. Hopefully knock back their cavalry. Go ahead, we're gonna move these guns up. We're routing that force over there. Taylor's routing. We routed that, so I'm wondering if I don't have an opportunity right now to go after some of their guns. What are they doing? What is going on? That was clearly a glitch. I'm not sure what they're doing. I'm not sure what's going on with that unit. That was very odd. I've never seen that. Well, I can't say I've never seen anything like that before, but because, like I said, the game has some oddities just like that that'll happen. That was extremely weird. So yeah, we're gonna bring Jennifer up. Hopefully try to engage that cavalry unit. We did drop that one gun. My left flank is breaking a little with the reserve units that we got in. Alright, Stewart took care of them. I'm going to go ahead and bring Evans up. He's going to stop playing around over there. Ewell has been wounded. Charge him in. I don't really mind if they get killed, to be honest. Because that one infantry unit is retreating right into them. Just because, again, I'm not bringing this unit over. If anything, I just get their supplies if they retreat. Or break. So, it wouldn't be too big of a deal. This is really weird. They're just sort of standing there. Like I said, the game, AI does some wonky things sometimes. Move these guys forward into better position. Yeah, they're just sort of sitting there taking it. Stewart's, they finally rallied, and now Stewart's caught between them. Something tells me we're going to lose Stewart. Jennifer's doing a fine job down there. We're technically surrounded, although we had them in the water, which the water, infantry in the water does a very poor job. Oh, Stewart surrendered. Well, alright then. It doesn't mean a whole lot if they surrender, unless you take prisoners as well, in which case the surrendering units sort of balance off. Alright, we're going to start swinging around this little area here, see if we can't get on their flanks. Now, I do have that larger 900, oh there they are right there, so we're actually... might move Evans up to engage them. Alright, that's still going on down there. Move these guys, my generals forward. Bella's taking some casualties. We're about to, yep, we just lost another gun, so I might move him back. Let's go ahead and move him back. Let's move Bartow forward. Try and keep them in town for the cover bonuses. You can see they got 100% cover if they're in town, whereas 24% cover for being out in the open like this. Alright, so we've set up on their flanks. We do have that artillery piece that's going to be launching shells into our flank, however. So we've got to be aware of that. Although again, we're just using reinforcement units, so I don't mind all that much. So now we're hitting Poe right there from 3 different sides. Front, slightly on his side, and then almost completely on his flank. So we're just whittling him down. Wilcox is sitting there with like no morale. Griffin's gun battery. Looks like we finally broke them down here, so let's see if we can't find Stewart and capture him back. And then launch into these guns. That might be an appropriate plan of action. I did see Stewart sort of going off this direction, so let's see what we can do. Our right is holding fine. Siegfried was a better general, right? No, he was just colonel or major. I don't know, the Confederate ranks sort of confused me just slightly. So let's move Evans up some. Keep him moving up these flanks. And actually, the battle's over. This was a much shorter battle than the last one. And we're actually up against Irving McDowell, which definitely was not the general down there. Of course, Joseph Johnson. We were outnumbered by about 3,000 troops, a little over 3,000 troops. Had similar artillery, similar guns. Although they took about almost a little over twice the casualties that we took. We did lose 2 of our guns though, which is the Confederacy losing any guns is a bit of a blow. Well, we achieved our gold. Siegfried again was the better unit. Wasn't it Siegfried in the last battle as well? Pretty sure it was. Richard Ewell was wounded, but we're actually not worried about that. He wasn't actually one of our generals. Siegfried and Cabell both were promoted. We did gain back 1 of the 2 Napoleons that we lost, though. We gained some more 1842s, a couple of 12-pound howitzers, some sharps, some cavalry weapons. Overall, not too terrible. So we're going to go back into our post-game, or post-battle report. We got 1 career point, 4 reputation, almost 60,000 worth of money, and 4,200 men have joined our cause. So as we looked, before we end this episode, we are just going to go ahead and do our building up our army again. So as I say, we do get 4 brigades to hold this bridge. So it makes you wonder, what should we choose as our 4th brigade? First, let's go into career. Let's allocate that point. Like I said, for these first 2 battles, we're only going to be putting points into politics. I'm not too worried about anything else just yet. I think we are actually sitting in a pretty good position. Now, we are going to have to start adding army organization before Shiloh, but we actually have some battles to play before that. So I'm not too worried about that at the moment. So we are going to apply that. And so what do we want to do for our 4th? Do we want to add another infantry brigade? Do we want to add more artillery, a cavalry unit, or some skirmishers to our army? Knowing the Battle of Manassas, cavalry I don't feel like it's going to affect us too much, nor do I think artillery is really going to be that beneficial to us in this battle. So skirmishers or infantry is probably the way we want to go. And to be completely honest with you, I probably am wanting to go just to add another infantry brigade to our army. So I think that is what we are going to do. Do we want to start with a major, however, or do we want to go to lieutenant colonel? Let's go ahead and just keep it a major, but we're going to do a better major. We're going to go with one that's a little bit higher up. We're definitely not going to use farmers, forget that. We are just going to equip him with Springfields. 1,500 soldiers, only costs us a little over 3,000. And there we go. Now we have all 4 units that we can, but we have some units to start adding in. Now we have a lot of gold. So what I'm going to do, what I'd like to do is I like to try and create one sort of elite infantry unit per corps. And so that's usually the first infantry unit of any of my first division. So what I typically would do with that is I always give them veterans. So it is a little bit costly, especially seeing as we don't have anything towards training right now, so it's going to be a bit costly. But it's still going to be good. And what they are is they're sort of like your the unit, the last resort type of unit. You're going to keep these guys in the back. You're not going to let them take too many casualties. And it's really for the unit, for the times where you really need to push someone through. You really need to break the enemy. So you would let, typically, if this Battle of Manassas was we were on the Union, typically it would be like I'd send these other two infantry units up first. They'd sort of weaken the enemy position, and then I'd come up with my more elite infantry unit to sort of break the enemy. It's typically what I try to do. So yeah, we're going to give these guys veterans, whereas with the other units, I tend to just try and keep them maintained. I do try and slowly try and keep them improving, and I'll show you what I mean in a minute. So we are just going to buy them veterans and keep them as good as possible. And so what I mean is, like I said, we'll keep these guys rookie, but if this bar were to ever drop below while adding rookie units, I would give them veterans. As you can see, I can put all 275 missing units, troops back into the army without having to worry about losing the star level. So I'm not going to worry about putting any veterans into this unit right now. Now, once this guy hits 3 stars, I will usually try and maintain. If I'm not using a lot of money to maintain, then I'll go through, and usually the first unit in the second division is when I will start adding veterans to him as well and keeping him maintained and trying making that unit also an elite unit. But especially, that's something more you see with the Union. You don't usually hit too many opportunities as the Confederacy to do that, unfortunately. So we are going to give him... we do have 1 gun in the army, 1 gun in the shop. We are going to improve this guy. And one thing I definitely like doing is one thing outside of the infantry that I will always keep veteran. Outside of my first division, first unit of my first division, is going to be my artillery. Artillery, I always add veteran units to, just because a 3-star artillery unit is devastating. You don't even have to have a big unit. Usually I try and keep my artillery around 12 to 14 guns per battery. And typically, if I can get them up to a 3-star, they'll just wreck the enemy and do a really good job. Because they do actually have some pretty good buffs if you can get them up to 3 stars. So yes, I always keep my artillery at 3 stars. So we are going to go ahead, put them back up to 6 guns. We're also going to go ahead and buy a little bit more supply. Not too worried. Battle Bull Run's not too long of a mission, so I'm not too worried about running out of supplies. As you can see, like I said, the battle's over, and these did not replenish, but what you'll see after the Battle of First Manassas, those guns will, in fact, replenish. So we are going to go through and start buying some more weapons that will help us out. I do not want to keep it, and also selling weapons I'm not going to use. As the Confederacy, I try not to sell too many weapons that I'm not going to use. Typically, it's usually things like the Cock and Brother, Coke and Brother, and then like any time I get like farmers or anything like that, I'll tend to sell them as well. Same with artillery. I don't typically use like 2-pound or the 12-pound howitzers or the 6-pound field artillery guns. So if I ever get those, I sell those as well. Just because I'm not a big fan of using those weapons. Howitzers, yes. 24-pound howitzers are devastating. But the 12-pound howitzers, not so much. I will, however, go ahead and buy some of these Tredegards because they are actually really good long-range weapons. As you can see, they have 1,700 effective range, whereas a lot of the other guns, well, 10-pound parrot. So it's the same as like a 10-pound parrot, but it's better than like a 10-pound ordnance gun, and a lot better than the effective range of a Napoleon. However, you do not, as the Confederacy, has access to guns like the 12-pound Whitworths, which are extremely long-range weapons, or the 14-pound James weapons, which are great weapons, but more of a close-range weapon. Not as good as, say, a howitzer or as close range as a howitzer, but still probably better than like your 10-pound ordnance rifle. But I am going to go ahead and buy the Tredigers. Try and make a unit of those here shortly. I am going to come in. I do prefer cavalry units that charge, so I am going to go ahead and start buying up these Lamats. And that might be all I'm able to purchase, although I might go ahead and purchase some of these Whitworths. Or do I want to buy some of the Maynards? It's a fair question. Whitworths are a lot more expensive. I could probably buy most of the... Let's go with these. Can I buy almost all of them? I can buy almost all of them. So yeah, this might be the better idea. Yeah. And then the last thing I want to do is we do have some reputation. As you can see, right now we have no morale effect. I don't think... I'm pretty sure... So I can buy some guns right now. I want to buy these Mississippis. They're slightly better than the Springfields. Although, they definitely... Are they better than the Springfields? I know they don't do as much damage, but what about the range and everything? So they are better range. Slightly lower fire rate. Much better accuracy. Because this is a rifled musket, whereas this is smoothbore. So yeah, the accuracy is going to be a lot better. Not as good in melee, though. I am going to go ahead and buy them. Even though they don't do as much damage. Although I don't think any rifled weapon does as much damage as smoothbore, to be honest. But you're sort of trading off damage for accuracy. Which, yeah, I'd much rather have some rifles with me rather than just having smoothbores. So, yeah, we'll go ahead. We're going to upgrade my veteran unit, of course, now with some Mississippis. So as I said, I'm sort of going to keep these guys in reserve. Actually, for the Battle of Manassas, you'll see what I do with them. I'm going to be doing something slightly different with them. But, so that's going to be my army. I have about 4,500 troops. Actually, we can actually go to right here. I have 4,620 troops, which if you include the men for the guns, 6 guns, yeah, 150 artillery, 150, or 450, oh yeah, and then they do count a little bit of the bodyguard unit, or the aid to camps and whatnot that come with the general unit as well. 4 brigades and 2 divisions, although the 2nd division is like nothing. So let's go ahead, we're going to end this episode, and then the next episode we will start with, of course, the first grand battle of the Battle of First Manassas, or Bull Run, depending on which side you, whether you're from the north or from the south, that is. So thank you all for watching. I do appreciate you all sticking around and doing this with me. So everyone have a good one.